Am I the a-hole stories? Am I the a-hole for using the money I saved to get my stepson a prosthetic leg, instead of contributing towards my brother's wedding? I, male 33, have a younger brother, male 25, who's the family's golden child. Once he was born, he had 3 parents. Mom, Dad and me. I was required to drop everything anytime to look after him. I shared 65% of his care in the first few years of his life. Then as he grew older, my parents expected me to provide for him financially. He fell sick and I ended up paying for his medical expenses, driving him places, going to the doctor's follow-ups with him. I did all of that while all my other social relationships fell apart. No more friends calling nor seeing me. I had trouble committing to a serious relationship because I didn't give it my all. Once I met my fiancée, I kept my distance and focused on her and my stepson. My mom would call to ask why I'm no longer doing X things for my brother. They made comments that my fiancée stole me to get me to raise her son. He's 13, uses crutches because his left leg is amputated. We do everything together. I love him so much and I can't wait to adopt him, and my fiancée is happy with it. I only visit family on big occasions since my aunt is kind and treats my fiancée well. Now, my brother is getting married on March, and I heard the family was putting money together to pay for the wedding. My dad called me to ask me to contribute with $15,000, which was a lot. I have other responsibilities. I'm a dad now and need to focus on my son's needs. After talking, I agreed to pay $10,000. Then my aunt called to let me know no one else paid a dime and it was just me who contributed, and it was a lie from my parents to get me back on track because my brother is and should always be my priority. I went to talk to them. Then I blew up after Mom started talking about how my fiancée was clearly using me to provide for her son. I argued with her. Told her I won't be contributing anything towards the wedding and will use the money to get my stepson a prosthetic leg since he is my priority now. My fiancée couldn't believe when I told her. They were shocked, and my uncle berated me for doing this and called me nuts because my fiancée isn't even married to me yet, so she and her son weren't yet family. I argued with them, then I left. I noticed more relatives started berating me, saying I ruined it for my brother. He'll resent me and I was being selfish and stupid to do that. They asked me to take my rose-colored glass off and realize that family remains, but relationships like that, meaning fiancé, that are based on greed don't last, and I'll admit they were right. I don't regret what I've done for my brother. He needed me and I have always been supportive of him. But this wedding isn't really for him but for my parents' image and trying to show it off to everyone. I'm sure my brother prefers a simple celebration, but they control everything. No. It's not a cultural thing, but more about looking good to outsiders. I know I wasn't clear about why my family thinks my fiancé was with me because of money. It's because of my appearance. I have a burn scar that covers the side of my face and goes down my neck because of a car accident I had 3 years ago. It doesn't bother me. I feel confident enough to socialize and it's never been an issue. But my family keeps bringing it up like they're shocked my fiancé isn't bothered by that. I wanted to mention this, but I hesitated because I wasn't sure what people are going to think. I'm sorry. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They wanted you to pay for your brother's wedding? Oh hell no. There's nowhere on planet Earth where that's required. Your brother pays, his fiancé pays, and they should work with your parents and future father/mother-in-law to see what they can contribute. No one else in the family should be expected to help, let alone be the sole source of funding. I honestly think you should go no contact with your family. These people are just going to keep using you. I couldn't believe they called OP's relationship with fiancé the one based on greed. Their kid is not a bank. Not the a-hole. They are using you, manipulating you and ruining your shot of having a happy life. You should go no contact. I almost never recommend going no contact with family, but yours is very toxic and preventing you from having normal relationships and building your own life. Your fiancé and your stepson are your priority. And frankly, paying for a wedding and a prosthetic leg so the boy can have an ordinary life, does not compare. Yes, it's difficult trying to constantly fight with family, but I'm tired and I can't take any more of this. They're probably in my brother's ear right now telling him that I don't care about him anymore and such, but my stepson deserves a normal life like any other kid. Life is passing by and I really want him to be able to do the things he couldn't do before once he gets a prosthetic leg. He's excited about it. Keeps asking a lot of questions, which is heartwarming, and it saddens me he never got the opportunity to get it sooner. Cut contact with your parents, and only talk to your brother directly, if you want a relationship with him still, and your aunt who is the MVP of your family for having the guts to tell you that you were being manipulated. Not the a-hole. I blew up after Mom started talking about how my fiancé was clearly using me to provide for her son. But it's okay for her to use you to provide for her son? Your family are a bunch of hypocrites and you'd be better off telling them all to pound sand. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for screaming at my sister and telling her she is not actually pregnant? I, 35 female, am pregnant with my sister's, 30 female, child. My sister was having some fertility issues and is not able to have a safe pregnancy. I offered to carry the baby for her and her husband, and I am now currently 6.5 months along, and everything is going well. Once we found out I was pregnant, my sister made the decision to live like she herself is the one pregnant. I found it odd, but I didn't see an issue with it. I understood that she is going through an emotional time, and I mainly thought this was going to be something just between her and her husband. I was wrong, and she has begun to act pregnant in her daily life. At first, it was just small things like having her husband run out to get food she was craving, but it developed into things like wearing maternity wear. She also gets annoyed if I talk about my cravings or pregnancy symptoms around her. These things don't bother me much, and I just think my sister wants to feel involved. Today, my sister wanted to go shopping to look at baby things since the stores have reopened in our area. The day started with her getting angry whenever sales staff would talk to me. I would explain to the salespeople that my sister is the mother whenever it was needed. After a few stores, we arrived at a baby retailer where she wanted to make a baby registry. By this point I was extremely tired and wanted to go home. I had told my sister this and she promised this would be the last store. I must have looked exhausted because as we were waiting, the salesperson brought over a chair for me to sit while the registry paperwork was done. When she brought it over, she did say something like, "Here's a chair for Mom." I didn't correct the salesperson this time and just sat down. My sister told me to get up and give her the chair after I had sat down. I asked her why and tried explaining that I was tired. My sister berated me by saying the salesperson said the chair was for the mom, and that she was supposed to sit. She said that this was her registry appointment and how dare I act like this was all about me. She said she was the one who was the expectant mother and that she needed to sit down now. I told my sister that yes, she is going to be the mother, but I am the one that is currently pregnant. I snapped at her that she is not actually pregnant and does not get how exhausting it can be. I told her I am trying my best to appease her, but she is being ridiculous. My sister began to cry, saying that I was shaming her for not being able to get pregnant and that I was making fun of her. I tried to defend myself and tell her that is not what I meant. She wouldn't listen and ran out of the store. Everyone in the store was staring at us. They were looking at me like I was a complete monster after hearing what my sister said. My mother says that I should have just let my sister have the seat. I know this whole thing must seem so small and stupid because it's about a chair. I don't know if I am the a-hole in this situation or not. Not the a-hole at all, but it sounds like your sister may need therapy. I agree. I am sure at some point she will be cutting you out of her and the baby's life. She will see you as competition and worry that the child will love you more. She won't ever be able to let it go, and may be terrible to the child if they remind her of you. Please ensure that you have a chat with her husband and your parents prior to handing the baby over. She may suffer from her own version of postpartum when the baby gets here and she faces the enormity of it all. I couldn't agree more. I think she will cut you off at every family holiday, etc. She will ask that you not be invited because it makes her uncomfortable. You may lose more than your sister. This is horrifying. Not the a-hole. Your sister needs therapy and I'm scared about the baby's future with that mother. Imagine when the baby is born. The sister may cut OP out of their lives because she'll be constantly reminded that she didn't give birth. Urgent therapy is needed. OP, get mentally ready for what's to come. Your sister is not well. Next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for excluding my wife for my daughter's birthday because she always makes it about herself?" Yesterday, my daughter turned 19. However, she didn't really like her birthdays for one reason. From her 10th birthday onward, my wife would always somehow make my daughter's birthday parties about her. Examples would be, on her 11th birthday, we went bowling, but my wife took most of the turns, and I had to argue with her to let our daughter play. When I took her out to a restaurant on her 13th birthday, she ordered crapload for herself. Not sure if this counts. She even went and purposely bought gifts that she liked and knew my daughter would hate, and when Lacey, that's what I'll call my daughter, pointed out that she doesn't like it, she'd go, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll have it." When she was 14, she stopped having birthday parties, and for her last birthdays just hanged out with her friends or watched a movie with me and my brother. But even that wasn't enough, as my wife, I'll just call her Alice now, would constantly butt in, complain that there's no food, moan that she doesn't like that film that we're watching, or she'd throw a fit when Lacey refused to do anything with her, or celebrate. Because of this, she does not want to celebrate her birthday anymore. The list goes on. This year, I asked her if she wanted to celebrate, and she muttered, "Not if Mom is there." She then quickly realized what she said and then apologized. I told her not to be sorry, and that we can celebrate without her. For the first time in a while, she actually gleamed at the idea of celebrating her birthday. So, later that evening, we went out to a restaurant, did some shopping, went to my brother's and watched a movie. It was fun. When we got back, I found Alice curled up in a ball on the sofa, crying. I told Lacey to go to her room because I had a suspecting feeling this would get ugly. When I asked Alice what was wrong, she started screaming at me, asking me how could I exclude her from her daughter's birthday, and that this is when her baby finally became an adult. She became an adult at 18, WTF? At this point, I decided to lay it out flat, that Lacey's attitude to birthdays was bitter as hell because of the way Alice always made Lacey's day about her. It's almost as if she considers Lacey's birthday to be her second birthday. Alice then became teary-eyed and asked me if I was telling her that she was a bad mother. I just turned away and said, maybe you should answer that yourself. She then got really upset and left. She's currently staying at her sister's. Since then, she has tried to get people to gang up on me. Sister-in-law is chill and we laughed at the whole situation, but my sister harassed me and said I'm a jerk, but her husband shut that down. Mother-in-law bombed my phone with messages about how I'm a horrible husband, and that I stripped her of being able to bond with her child. I feel like I wasn't wrong, and that Alice needed to smell the reality, but I do feel kinda guilty. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole? Edit to add, I did confront her each time about it, but she always just brushed it off in the end. I guess it only affected her now because we didn't include her. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but you should have called out her behavior a long time ago. Narcissists believe they're the only ones that matter and that behavior only gets more solidified in them when they go unchallenged. Tell your wife that she can throw all the tantrums she wants, but it's not going to change the fact that she has treated her daughter terribly at all of her birthdays. And you can tell your mother-in-law to stay out of your marriage because it's none of her business. You can say the same to anyone else who feels they have a right to give you grief about this. Ditto. Not the a-hole. Your daughter comes first. Agreed. It's their daughter's birthday, so her feelings on the matter are what counts. His wife is narcissistic and apparently in denial. Not the a-hole. She actually gleamed at the idea of celebrating her birthday. Not the a-hole. Happy birthday, Lacey. I hope you have lots more enjoyable ones in the future. Not the a-hole. Your wife is being manipulative. You told her you do this bad thing every year so our daughter hates her birthday, and instead of saying something like, "Oh my god, is that true? Have I really been doing that? I feel horrible," she immediately jumps to, "So I'm a bad mom then?" Classic deflection. Your daughter deserves her birthday to be about her and what she wants, especially when she was a child. I feel very sorry for her that she couldn't enjoy her birthday for so many years. If you hadn't confronted your wife frequently about this, I'd say everyone sucks here. But you say you have, so definitely NTA. I'm sure your daughter appreciated you offering to celebrate without her mother this year. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for calling my sister-in-law out on her constant comparisons between her dog and my child? This was pre-COVID but still a massive sore point, so I would like outside perspective. My sister-in-law has a dog, Tommy, and he is basically her child. I understand how important she is to her and have no problem with this. She often makes comparisons between the dog and my daughter, too. Generally, I don't comment as to her the dog is her child. These will be comparisons such as if we give our child a sweet treat, she will comment that she would never give Tommy anything unhealthy as his health is important to her. I have once made a comment to her after her friend took him for a long walk and she couldn't get hold of her. Sister-in-law was hysterical and said, "Imagine if someone had kidnapped our daughter." I said I felt it wasn't quite the same to me, although I do understand it would probably feel the same to her. The dog hasn't been kidnapped, her friend had just got waylaid and her phone battery died. The issue came about when we were both staying at mother-in-law's, her mother's. My daughter was about 10 months at this point. The dog kept coming up to my daughter, trying to lick her, jump on her, etc. Not aggressively, he just wanted to play. I didn't feel comfortable with this and my daughter was showing signs of distress. I asked sister-in-law to tell her dog to stop. She said they are cousins and should play together. I said when my daughter is older that is fine, but at that moment, she didn't really understand and was quite clearly becoming frightened of the dog, moving away, crying out, etc. She said it's no different than when my daughter reaches for a hug. I said they are two separate things. A baby wanting a hug and a dog jumping up are not the same. She called me a witch and said I was disrespecting Tommy, then she was frosty with me the rest of the stay. My husband backed me, but my mother-in-law said I should have just let Tommy play with my daughter. We haven't seen her because of obvious restrictions, but they are slowly being lifted, so we'll probably see her in the near future. I still get passive-aggressive comments thrown my way. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. A dog is not a child, and that's coming from someone whose dog is their life. This chick sounds delusional. Same. I'm freaking crazy about my dogs, but I can tell the difference between my dog and my actual human child. Not the a-hole. I'm the biggest dog person you can find, and she needs to get a grip. And for the record, if my human child was engaging with yours, and yours was actively showing signs of distress, I would step in and separate them. Being cousins, regardless of footedness, does not mean unwanted attention goes unaddressed. Same thing if my small human was causing your dog distress, and my small human is known to do such things. Same thing if my small human was causing your dog distress. Exactly. We teach children how to interact respectfully with dogs, and we teach dogs how to interact with people. And there are some dogs that are just not suitable to be around small children, some herding breeds, or reactive/formerly abused dogs. Not the a-hole. Honestly, I'd cut her off because she is clearly unhinged. A baby is not the same as a dog, and frankly, allowing a dog that eats basically anything including its own vomit and sometimes poop to lick a baby, is insanely unsanitary. I have a puppy myself that I adore, but I don't act as if it's my child, and I hate it when people call me its mother. She needs to see a therapist, and so does your mother-in-law. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.